Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Happy Monday out there. Hope everyone's having a great start to their week. Got a beautiful sunny day here going on this morning in Michigan, which we don't get a whole lot of those this time of year in Michigan. We mostly just a lot of gray skies. It's very depressing. So this is a very welcome turn of events. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about what might be probably the most machismo and macho thing that I can talk about, and that is about learning how to feel your feelings and being in touch with your feelings. And this was an idea I think I first heard about from a YouTube video that I'd watched a couple months ago, maybe half a year ago, but a guy who was talking about stuff like, just being a healthy, strong man, what, real masculinity looks like and stuff. And he talked about, the importance of vulnerability and being in touch with your feelings and processing them appropriately. So this last week, I was recovering from being sick. I think in the last video, I was still kind of have a cold, and then it was still lingering this last week as well. And which I was really annoyed about because I'd also been sick like just about a month ago. I think I got the flu back in December, and then there was some other bug going around here this start of the new year. Anyway, so I was sick this last week, and I started, falling into a bit of a funk because I wasn't exercising as much, because I'm a voice actor. I couldn't talk while I was really sick. So then I had all this work to catch up on. So I was just stressed out because I was behind in projects, and I wasn't eating great, and I wasn't taking great care of myself. And sometimes when I fall into these funks, like if I'm sick or I'm just in a rut for whatever reason, a lot of my old negative thought patterns just start to really come to the forefront. I start thinking about all these things and these memories of times where I was really irritated with people and stuff that pissed me off and whatnot. And it always comes to a forefront whenever, I'm not taking the best care of myself. Like if I'm working, if I'm eating well, exercising, then my mind's in a much better place. But you start falling into this funk and all these demons start to crop up. And this time, bearing in mind what I had learned about that YouTube video and the thing I was talking about, feeling your feelings. So historically, either my way of dealing with this would be to self-medicate, I find something to distract myself with. Maybe that's junk food, maybe that's go play video games or whatnot. Or I just, fall in deeper into that miasma where I just start getting really irritated and self-pitying whatnot. Whereas this time I decided, in the spirit of learning how to really sit with what's going on there, I want to just take a step back and really think about okay, why is this bothering me as much as it does? Why is this so irritating to me? Why am I having this very visceral, sensation and emotion tied to this thing that, some of these happened 10 years ago, and I'm still I still get really irritated about it. And I realize when you actually take the time to not run away from it, not to medicate it, or not to throw yourself a pity party, you sit with it, you sort of observe it, and you ask yourself okay, what's really going on here? Why am I irritated like this? Why does this bother me as much as it does? You start to get some real insights into, what's actually going on in your mind and your body. And maybe there's some stuff that, maybe you had some older memory that this other sensation is tied back to. And so you have this really strong, irrational experience related to it. And that's something that I've been doing a lot of work recently thinking about, because I'm only human. I got a lot of stuff that, irritates me. I've got my own demons and whatnot. So yeah, personal one for me is, another one I've been thinking about a lot lately is I'm a pretty competitive guy. I often fall into the trap of comparing myself to other people, which a lot of us do nowadays because everything's just so plastered out there on social media, and people, I get really self-conscious sometimes when I see people posting their wins and stuff. And I didn't always understand exactly what was going on there. I get annoyed, when some people have when people are self-aggrandizing or, attention seeking and stuff. But it really bothered me at a level that I didn't think that it should. So historically, I just I'd get irritated about it, or I'd be oh, what's wrong with that person? Why are they doing this and whatnot? And I would never do that. I'm not that kind of a person. But this time I decided okay, let's actually sit with this and see what's going on there. Let's, feel my feelings, just sit with it and just sort of exhibit what's going on there. And I was having a hard time falling asleep last night, and I was just thinking about this stuff and trying to just take a step back. And I realized that, a lot of that comparison and competitiveness coming from me it's coming from It's coming from a place of just major insecurity, from a desperation. I realized that ever since I was a kid, I've often had this habit of using other people as a barometer for how I was doing in my life. And if I saw somebody do something that maybe I hadn't done or felt like I should be doing, then like to see somebody post about it and like make a big deal about it and like get attention for it. I almost saw like that as like a threat to me. Like, oh, this other person's doing this thing, so then I should do this thing. Otherwise, I like don't measure up if I'm not like on the same level as this other person. And so I like go into this sort of desperate, anxious thing where either I need to like break them down in my mind, where I just be like, oh, well, like they did this, but that's not that big of a deal. So that way I wouldn't feel the stress of feeling like I needed to measure up, or I just fall into this really dark place of like, feeling really sorry for myself and just like giving up on things and be like, well, if I can't do this, then what's the point of even trying? And, sitting with that, I realized that there's a lot of like inertia from habits that I built up when I was a kid, I think, thinking about that, where I just, even now I'm still like trying to articulate and process this, but getting into some deep personal stuff here, like trying to pick away at my past and whatnot. But sitting with that feeling just gave me an insight into like, okay, it's not just that it's annoying when people post about stuff on social media and they're looking for attention stuff, which is like whatever, people do that. But like this really deep experience I had was tied to like my sense of self-worth and this feeling that like I needed to compete with other people, and I needed to like be better than other people, at least in my own mind, in order to feel quote unquote good enough, or to avoid the anxiety of feeling like I needed to measure up to something. And I realized, when you start peeling back the layers and look at what's really going on here, you start realizing that a lot of this stuff just doesn't really stand up when you put it to the light, and you realize that a lot of the beliefs that I've been driving me subconsciously on autopilot just don't really pan out when you start to expose them. And yeah, that was something, that was a realization that I thought about, that I want to, keep looking into and seeing, what else comes up in my life. And that's something I would challenge anybody to do. If there's something goes on, maybe like you get cut off in traffic, or, you got a coworker who says something that just really irks you, rather than just like, getting mad about it or trying to distract yourself, like really take a moment and be like, okay, if this is bothering me as much as it is, what's going on there? Is this like tied to some other memory? Did I have some experience that this is like anchoring into? And if you can take the time and have this sort of, if you can have the patience and the lack of judgment with yourself to really sit with that and be like, okay, what's going on here? Then you might realize that there's some stuff going on in you that, hasn't been looked at in a while, that maybe you could really benefit from, taking some time to think about and really go in deep and analyze it. And, that's can be scary work sometimes, because, there's a lot of stuff that we like to just block out of our mind and not think about. But it can also be some of the most necessary stuff that we need to do. So that's what I got today. Feeling a little vulnerable, talking about our feelings and stuff. Yeah, that's what I've got. Appreciate everybody tuning in today. Once again, I hope you all have a wonderful week. I hope you get out there, just absolutely crush it, man. Like I'm really fired up for this new year. I mean, I guess I'm just always fired up for, there's just so much stuff going on out there, so many opportunities, so much richness and beauty out there in the world, man. And it's just exciting to think about all the possibilities, about, where life could go, where this year could go, where an opportunity could go. So I thank you all for tuning in, being part of the conversation. And I hope you guys, do the work, get out there, just crush it, and make your lives as awesome as you can. All right, that's what I got. Take care.